I'm joined by Navy beat writer Bill Wagner of the Capital Gazzette. Bill, thanks for joining and welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Now, Navy is coming in off a 45-21 win over East Carolina, making them 2-0 on the year. What has impressed you about the mid-start to the season?
Well, I thought that the East Carolina victory was a real complete effort in all three phases, as head coach Ken Niumatalolo mentioned after the game. They played well defensively, obviously very well offensively with the points and yards they put up, and were sound in the special teams. So it was a very impressive victory, especially when you consider that East Carolina had just played very well against Florida, was in the game, had a chance to tie the score at the very end, deep in Florida territory. So I thought it would be a high-scoring game, but I did not expect Navy to dominate quite the way they did. Obviously, the Colgate game to open the season, Navy's expected to win that game rather handily. That's a Patriot League opponent, a football championship subdivision school. So I don't know how much we can take from that, but the early returns of this looks like a pretty good Navy club.
Now, Saturday was their first conference game in the history of the program. What are the thoughts down that way about the AAC from the school itself and the fan base, and how have they adjusted to playing a league schedule? I know this is only going to be their second game, but it's coming up pretty quickly right out of the gate.
Well, I think the fan base has embraced the American Athletic Conference. I think that they have come to realize what Navy Athletic Director Chuck Gladchuk had been saying for several years now, is that this is the future for Navy football, that continuing to operate as an independent just wasn't going to work with the conference realignments and the creation of these new super conferences, ability to schedule games, to have bowl affiliations, TV contracts, the whole 9 yards of what is important in college football were in jeopardy as an independent. And so I think the fan base recognizes this was necessary, and so they're embracing it. Navy fans have always been incredibly supportive, and what's really turned out to be the case is that initially Navy joined the Big East Conference, and at the time that they joined, I think the Navy fans were a bit wary of whether Navy could compete in that league, but the structured American Athletic Conference is vastly different and frankly contains a lot of schools that Navy had already been playing as an independent. Tulane, Tulsa, SMU, Houston, Connecticut, all of these teams or schools that Navy has played here in the last 10, 11 years. So it really ends up looking a lot like some of the teams that are on Navy's schedule as an independent. And frankly, in this first year, that's kind of the way it is. This almost looks like a typical Navy football schedule. I don't think the feeling of being in a conference is going to come in terms, a couple of years down the road when you start playing these teams over and over. In this very first year, it's kind of similar to what Navy's always done. Every week they played a different type of school, and so I don't know that the conference adjustment is going to come until a couple of years down the road when Navy starts seeing the same teams over and over and is playing them for the third straight year, etc.
Now, going in depth with this specific team, a little more in depth, quarterback Keenan Reynolds had another big day over the weekend. He's had a great career with the Naval Academy. Can you talk about his game and what he excels at that position?
Well, first and foremost, we got to start with the fact that he's a four-year starter. And it's never happened in the history of the triple option era at Navy. And that's because this offense is too difficult for the average freshman to run. It takes a good 2 years to really, truly learn this offense. Keenan Reynolds is almost like a prodigy, if you will. He was able to pick up the offense far faster than any quarterback that's ever come to Navy, and as a result was capable of playing as a freshman, and so he seized the job as a freshman. Nobody will ever forget his first appearance as a Navy quarterback, his first meaningful appearance. He played mop-up duty in a blowout loss to Notre Dame in the season opener that year, but his first meaningful appearance came against arch-rival Air Force. Navy was trailing, and Keenan led the Navy to a dramatic comeback victory in Colorado Springs. And so, that just kind of shows you that this kid was something special. And so now, 4 years later, you're talking about a kid with 33 starts under his belt. He knows this offense as well as any quarterback who's ever played for Navy. He is a very, very intelligent, football-savvy young man, and he is like having an offensive coordinator on the field. I mean, for over the years, the offensive coordinators had to tell the quarterback what the defense is doing and how to adjust. Keenan Reynolds knows the offense so well, he can make this kind of decisions out on the field. He just is very, very good at getting Navy into the right play, making checks at the line of scrimmage, reading the defense, the whole smear of what is important, and that is what has set him apart, not to mention the fact he's a very gifted athlete. He can run. He's got a very good running ability. He's elusive. He's got a good throwing arm. He's accurate with a nice touch. So, frankly, I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players in Navy history, and right alongside Roger Staubach is one of the greatest quarterbacks in Navy history, and that's really saying something.
Now I'm talking with Navy beat writer Bill Wagner. Now, Bill, there was a key injury to the offensive line on Saturday as E.K. Binns went down with an apparent arm injury. During the game, he was shown in a sling on the sideline. What is his status heading into Saturday? And if he can't go, what does that do for the offensive line? And also, what does Navy have behind him at that position in terms of depth?
Right, well, E.K. Binns was telling both head coach Kenny Amatololo and the offensive line coach Ashley Ingram that he was fine. It wasn't that severe. We'll see. He's obviously not a doctor, nor does he play one on TV. So we have not heard as of here today what the severity or extent of that injury is. If E.K. Binns cannot go, you're losing one of your most experienced linemen, a real veteran with a lot of starts under his belt, and Binns is a very good offensive guard. He was picked preseason American Athletic Conference by a publication that chose a preseason all-conference team, and you would have to go to a kid who has never started. Adam West is who came into the game after EK went out in the fourth quarter, and so I'm going to guess that he would be the one to start. And I think the coaches think highly of Adam, but he's been a backup. He's got minimal game experience. It will definitely impact the continuity and chemistry of that offensive line.
Now, UConn head coach Bob Diaco, who's seen quite a bit of Navy in recent years during his time at Notre Dame, said on this morning's AAC coaches call that this is the best Navy team that he's seen. Do you agree with that sentiment being around the team, and what are the expectations for the season?
Well, I think time will tell. Navy's had some pretty good football teams during this current stretch of 11 seasons in which they've posted 8 wins or more. 11 out of the last 12 seasons is how the current run of success, and they've had a couple teams that won 10 games. So that's a high bar to meet. I think talent-wise, athletic ability, size, the whole gamut, yes, because Navy continues to ramp up its recruiting. I will say that joining the American Athletic Conference has been a boon to recruiting. I think kids like the idea of playing in a league, knowing they're going to be able to play certain teams each year. But during its the success begets success, and Navy has continued to recruit at a higher level with each successive year that they have winning records and go to bowl games. And so, on talent-wise, athletic ability-wise, Navy's better than it's ever been, but that doesn't always translate to being a great team, so time will tell. 2 games into the year, there's no way to say that. It has the ability, and certainly when you've got a 4-year starting quarterback leading the offense, that is a big head start in that direction. But time will tell is what I would say.
A year ago, the Naval Academy went up against the eventual national champion, Ohio State, and went toe-to-toe for pretty much the better part of 3 quarters. What did that experience do for this team, and what did they take away from that game?
Well, obviously, it was a great confidence boost, but that is really nothing new. About 3 years earlier, they went through the horseshoe in Columbus and, frankly, should have beaten Ohio State on its home field. They were on the goal line, about to take the lead late in the game, and Ricky Dobbs threw a 3-yard pass into the end zone that was picked off and taken back the entire way for a touchdown, and that completely turned the tide of the game late. I've seen Navy absolutely destroy Missouri, a very good Missouri team that had about 12 NFL players on it in the Texas Bowl. I've seen Navy destroy Stanford on its home team. So Navy is accustomed to playing heavyweight power, BCS, current Power 5, if you will, type teams, and has enjoyed success. So, the Ohio State game was similar to a lot of other teams that they've played against those types of opponents over the years in this current run of success.
Now, a final question for Bill Wagner of the Capital Gazette. Last time Navy came up to Connecticut, they left with a 41-17 win in 2006. What do you see this time around, and do you think this UConn defense, who showed up pretty well this past weekend against Missouri, can slow down which is obviously a potent Navy option attack?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's a difficult thing to answer. It's funny, I just got done writing for my story tomorrow about the little UConn-Navy series, the two-game home-and-home series that they had, and what happened between Paul Johnson and Randy Edsel during those two games. Connecticut dominated Navy 38-0 in Annapolis, held Navy to 3 first downs and 82 total yards, and afterwards Randy Edsel told Paul Johnson at midfield, "Don't worry, I won't send this tape to anyone," kind of intimating that he'd figured out how to stop the option. And Paul Johnson stewed about that for 4 years until Navy had a rematch with Connecticut up there at Winshore Field in East Hartford. And if you recall that day, Navy put up about 602 yards and blew out Connecticut. And after the game, Paul Johnson kind of sent that remark back to Edsel and said, "You can send this tape to anybody you want." So that's always a good old story from those days. But it'll be interesting. Obviously, UConn has a great defense. There's no question about that. What they did against a Missouri team that is potent, it was absolutely impressive. That being said, the option's a different animal, and you've got to try to teach your players in essence 3 or 4 days how to defend a offense that they do not ever see, and it is completely foreign from what they're accustomed to in this day and age of spread offenses, etc. So it's really hard to say. I would say, the team that executes the best will win. I know that Navy has respect for the UConn defense and its capabilities, and I know on the other side of the coin, Bob Biacco and his staff have great respect for Navy's triple option. Bob Biacco, when he was at Notre Dame, had a game where he couldn't figure out how to stop Navy, but he also had another game against Navy when he was at Notre Dame when they really played great defense on that option. So it's just all about how the coaches know what to do. Bob Biacco and his staff know what to do against an option. It's can they teach their players how to defend it in 3 or 4 days? That to me is the key.
Well, it definitely should be an interesting matchup this coming weekend. And thanks, Bill, for joining. It was definitely a pleasure, and I look forward to catching up with you at the Rant on Saturday.